Hello and welcome to our 2026-2027 Virtual Resident Assistant Interest session. My name is Emery Cavan and I'm a resident director in Everglades Hall. I also work in the Student Staff Recruitment Committee. Today we're going to be talking about the qualifications that are required to be a resident assistant, the responsibilities and benefits that come with the job, the application process itself, the selection process, and some interview tips. This is the vision statement for our department. Our Residence Life team is committed to developing strong communities that create a positive environment for student success and engagement. Our goal is to enhance student residential experience and provide students opportunities to make their years at FGCU count. We also have a mission statement. Housing Residence Life provides convenient housing accommodations for a community of learners in pursuit of an academic degree. We are committed to offering a seamless transition into a welcoming community that provides the support and resources to inspire academic achievement, student involvement, and personal development. So what do RAs actually do? They develop community through events and outreach, they educate residents, they address policy violations, promote safety and security, sometimes work at the front desk, and do various administrative tasks. Here are the qualifications you need to be an RA. You'll need a cumulative and semesterly GPA of at least 2.5. You also need to be in good standing with the university. This doesn't mean that you can't be hired if you've been documented for something in the past. It just means that we're going to take it into account when making our hiring decisions. So please don't let a small policy infraction stop you from applying for the job. You also will need to be an FGCU student for at least one semester before you begin the position. The term of appointment is for the entire 2026 to 2027 academic year, which is from August to May. You'll also need to be able to serve as part of our on-call rotation, which is from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. at least once a week. You only need to be able to respond to calls during this time and stay within your community. You won't be actively working that entire time block. Also, you'll be serving some weekends on call. The weekends are going to be 24-hour shifts. University breaks and closures, if you're on call during those, will also be 24-hour shifts. Extracurricular activities are allowed, but they can't exceed 9 hours per week. You cannot have an internship or any other academic commitment that requires you to be away from campus for more than 25 hours per week. And you also cannot hold an official position within the Resident Housing Association. A major part of your job as a resident assistant is supporting the department's vision, mission, core values, and educating residents on our residential curriculum. You'll be working with fellow housing and university staff to assist with and attend major university functions like Weeks of Welcome, Eagle Expo, Say Yes to the Nest, assist with major departmental programs and functions like department committees, RA interview process, etc. So actually, when you go in to do your interview, you will also be interviewed by a current RA or student staff member. And you'll also potentially assist with the evacuation of residents and shelter management during a hurricane or other incidents that require the university to close or us to evacuate our residential communities. As I said before, there's also various administrative responsibilities that come with the job. First of all, we have weekly staff meetings and supplemental trainings that usually fall between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Wednesdays. Supervisors do have the discretion to have their staff meetings at different dates and times, but if they do decide to do something outside of that Wednesday block, they will take everyone's schedule into account. You'll also be responsible for handling openings and closings, like at the front desk, check-ins and checkouts of the residents. You'll have one-on-one sessions with your supervisor. Usually those are about once every 2 weeks. You'll also have health and safety inspections once a semester, where we basically are going to go and look to make sure that all of the rooms that the residents are living in are safe and follow our policy. We also might ask you to do some online forms or paperwork to document incidents, communicate over email and Microsoft Teams, and you'll have a certain number of desk shifts that you'll work, and also the opportunity to pick up additional desk shifts if you'd like some additional income. When you're on call, you'll be serving with fellow RAs on your staff on weekdays, weekends, and on holidays. You'll respond to various situations like facilities concerns, policy violations, mental health concerns, and more that might come up. You also could provide emergency and crisis intervention. Now, this might sound scary, but remember that you'll always have a on-call partner there with you to help you, and every single minute of every single day, there will be someone that you can call that can provide you additional assistance and backup that has additional training. And so you're never going to be left in a position where you feel like you're not prepared to handle what's in front of you. We also do extensive training on these pieces to make sure that you feel prepared and confident in the moment. When it comes to being an RA day to day, really what you're going to be spending most of your time doing is creating a community within your assigned area. You'll be helping to plan large scale programs, which we call LSPs, community events, which are smaller scale than LSPs, but still covering a wide area, and also community builders for your specific section to serve your residents and create community in your area. You'll also be putting up bulletin boards to help educate residents on our residential curriculum. You'll be providing your knowledge of resources on campus to residents so that we can connect them with the resources that best suit their needs. You could be conducting roommate mediations if there is a conflict between residents in your area to help them solve that conflict or at least establish a way that they can live together more effectively. You'll also be doing community connections. You do several of those throughout the semester. Basically, those are meetings with your residents where you're going to be talking about their experience here, their life, getting updates from them, and writing it all down to document it so that we can make sure that they're getting the support that they need and keeping track of how they're doing on their journey here at FGCU. Also, just generally being present in your community and being a recognizable face and a approachable resource for your residents. There's also more that we can't cover here because the RA job has just a lot of different pieces to it. But these are really the main things that you're going to be seeing day to day. So let's talk about the major time commitments of being an RA. First of all, you'll be going to fall training, which is usually about 2 weeks before the start of the fall semester. We'll have a 2-week long training where we educate all the RAs on different departments in the university, different resources that students can access, and also various aspects of the RA role, like how to respond to incidents, how to document policy violations, that kind of thing. We also have a spring training, which is basically like a shorter version of our fall training, where we will be training our new RAs who are coming in the spring semester, and also refreshing the training that the rest of the team received during fall training. You'll be assisting with move-in when residents are moving into the new spaces to begin the academic year. Also, you'll be doing some programming, basically planning for those events that we discussed in the previous slide. And also, you'll have some continued developments here and there. Those are what we call these short, like roughly 1 to 2 hour long trainings where we educate RAs about maybe a new campus resource or something more topical to the part of the year that we're in, or a professional development opportunity, that kind of thing. And then you'll also have weekly time commitments like serving at the front desk, serving on call, and going to meetings like those staff meetings that I referred to earlier. As an RA and someone with a leadership position within your community, it's important to be mindful of the fact that your residents will see some of the decisions you make, the actions that you take, and it's important to try to maintain being a good role model for them. This also carries into social media and your presence on social media platforms. We don't require that you make your accounts private or anything like that, but I would recommend it if it's something you're comfortable with, because it can make things a little bit easier so that the residents don't see the things that you post. Also, make sure that you're maintaining appropriate boundaries with the residents in your hall so that you can kind of maintain that professional relationship and help you respond to incidents more effectively. As an RA, you're also considered a mandated reporter, which means that when you see policy violations or when you're told about certain topics that we'll cover during training, you're required to report those things. And so just be mindful of the fact that you're going to need to be sharing with the people that you're speaking to that you are a mandated reporter, and that you will need to report some of the things that they tell you depending on what the topic is. Before we make a hiring decision, we also will conduct a background check and a conduct check. Now let's talk about your compensation. First of all, you will be receiving a free private bedroom. Now, this will look slightly different depending on the area that you're placed in. For example, in SOVI, you have an entire bedroom and suite to yourself, whereas in the apartments, you will have roommates, but you'll still have your own private bedroom. And that is, in all cases, paid for as part of your compensation as an RA. You'll also receive a stipend biweekly, and you have the ability to earn additional compensation by working the desk outside of the required 3 hours per week that we were talking about before. Also, if you decide to stay with us for longer, returning staff are paid at a higher stipend rate for each year that they serve as RAs. Also, we cover meals when we're having our large trainings, like the fall and spring training that I discussed earlier. You also will be receiving plenty of housing and FGCU gear throughout the year, and also really just invaluable life and career skills that can be applied to any job or career path. Now, when you sit down to apply to be an RA, you're going to be asked various things about your academics, your campus involvement, your interest in the RA position, and your employment and leadership experience. So just make sure that you're taking the time to read those questions thoroughly and answer them in a way that best represents yourself. If you do move to the next round, there is an in-person interview process. Basically, there's going to be one student staff member and one professional staff member interviewing you, and you'll have the opportunity to ask questions at the end if time allows. Now, you're going to most likely be in a room with a lot of other candidates who are also interviewing at the same time with separate pairs of staff members, so just be mindful of that environment and expect it when you walk in. Our interview questions will primarily focus on skill and experience assessment. We've had candidates who are successful and they've never had a job before the RA role. And so when I say experience, I don't mean that it needs to be something specifically job related. But it can take the form of something like campus involvement or stuff that you've done before coming to FGCU, like in high school, as long as it's displaying that you have the attitude and the skills required to be successful in the role. The application opened on October 31st and will close on November 28th. Between January 12th and January 16th, we'll be having our in-person RA interviews. And then on February 17th, you will be informed of the decision or the job offer. If you're in need of any accommodations, please contact FGCU Adaptive Services at this phone number and at this email. Examples of accommodations that might be needed are if you have an ESA, emotional support animal, if you require physical accommodations, visual or hearing accommodations. And before we go, here are some quick interview tips. Remember that you need to prepare in order to be successful. So don't go into the interview with zero idea of what you're going to be asked. You can find a lot of helpful resources online about common questions that are asked during RA interviews, and our selection process is not going to deviate super far from that. So those should give you an idea of what you want to be thinking about going into the process. Also, if you have a current RA, reach out to them and ask them what skills they think are critical in their role. That'll help you figure out what kind of skills we're looking for as a department and what we want candidates to bring to the table. It's also helpful to kind of think back to your experiences and figure out stories that you have, examples that you have that you can tie to those skills that we're looking for as a department. So please, if this sounds like a good opportunity for you, apply today. You can go to this link here and submit your application, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching.